All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to The Point with Playdate. And today we're joined by a very special guest, the one and only Aaron Reid, A&R, singer, songwriter, producer. Aaron Reid's been working with some of the top music industry professionals and musicians and has been making real waves in the industry for a long time now. Thank you again so much for being with us today, Aaron.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for having me.
Wanted to first see if you could talk a little bit about your time kind of early in your career, transitioning or sort of adding on the A&R role at Epic Records, kind of coming from your creative place as a singer-songwriter, producer, and then maybe some of the sort of misconceptions that might come with working in the music industry, or maybe specifically A&R, if you believe there are any, that you sort of had to deal with when first kind of ingraining yourself in that role.
Going from like creative to business role was definitely different. I definitely wasn't as open-minded to it in the beginning. I definitely felt like I didn't need it. You know, I've always had like a great eye for talent, also just like great eye for, you know, just taste level and fashion and music and a great ear. And I hear records and, you know, it's like I have relationships and all of these things, when you really think about it, are things that great A&Rs have and do. And I just fell into it more, if that makes sense. So
yeah, totally.
When I first started doing A&R, I, you know, worked for a lady named Madeline Nelson at Sony. As you know, with like nepotism, they made it very difficult for me and my dad to work together in the beginning of my A&R career. Actually, I was able to kind of change some of the rules and the laws over at Sony due to nepotism, due to working with your family. And, you know, I think we were just able to bypass some of the hurdles and challenges and things that, you know, I would deal with just based off of who I am. Not even just as an A&R, which I felt like was incredible. I was able to go out and find artists. I was able to be in the studio all night. I'm really making sure that my artist is happy and, you know, I'm like making sure the song is getting done. And it kind of felt like a really natural place for me, because I'm like, wow, well, you know, this is different. But at the same time, I'm still being creative. I'm still able to add my 2 cents. I'm still, you know, very much so in the conversation. A&Rs are supposed to have the best of the best relationships in every regard of their business and everything that they do. So that's pretty much what I focus on. I lean a lot on my relationships with a lot of my producer friends or producers of mine or songwriters that I know and other executives. I think, you know, a misconception is that like, you know, A&Rs do it all on their own. And like, yes, like, you know, you put everything together and you make it make sense, but you must rely on a great team of people that can also help you, you know, get your job done. That's like a long-winded answer, but that's the truth.
Yeah, no, totally. That's great. And it's really cool to hear you talk about how you kind of just took things in stride and relied on your, you know, ability to make relationships. And I feel like that's when the best sort of, you know, pairings happen in work and profession. And kind of building off of that point you were talking about, nepotism, and, you know, when you're going into this, people know who your parents are and stuff like that. But in the interviews I've seen with you, I feel like you definitely hit a point in your life where you were like, that's, you know, they did their own thing. They left their legacies and I love them for that. And I learned from that. But, you know, it's time for me to make forge my own path and do my own thing. And I was just wondering, I mean, that seems like a really, really hard thing to come to, a really hard conclusion to come to. And I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about that process and sort of that sort of ascent in the music industry in that sense.
Man, I think you hit it on the nose. You know, for me, I got it from two very major places, which is my mom and my dad. My mother was an artist who did very well and turned to executive and manager, and my father was an artist producer turned to executive. I was walking into a huge arena. You're not supposed to measure up to what they've done. You're supposed to do your own thing. And I knew that it was very important for me to create a conversation of my own around my name, as you know, creating a respect and a workflow with people on my own behalf. Like, these are things that you can't buy. You can't force those things. They just have to happen. And, you know, believing in yourself, it sounds corny, but it's very, very, very true. Creating my focus and also adding to my legacy is important to me, you know, to make that my family legacy is very strong, and then I'm able to take, you know, what I've seen and done and take it to another level.
Building off of that, is that sort of where kind of your newer ventures of All Pop International, is that where that sort of come in? And I mean, you've done exactly what you said. You're your own CEO now. Could you talk a little bit about sort of the birth of that and maybe the intention behind it? You know, what sets that apart from other labels that are out there right now?
Absolutely, man. So me and my partner, Blessed, he's a great producer, songwriter. He's produced records like Rolex for Ayo and Teo, Ship for Future and Thug. So many songs. He's such a great person. We teamed up about 3 years ago and decided that, you know, we need a movement. We kind of just decided that it was time to refine the sound and the aesthetic of what's happening in Atlanta. You know, in Korea, there's K-pop. In Atlanta, in America, there's A-pop. And that's how we kind of look at our brand. You know, the artists that we're working with are really getting our sound, whether that's a new or it's Kanye West. They're getting the A-pop sound, and it's the future. It's new. It feels fun. You know, it's inventive. It's hard. It's all the things that we know. It just has a little bit more of a polish to it. So it's not just trap music. It's not just this. It's not just that. This is top 40 Hot 100 music. This is or 200. Like this, you know what I mean? This is big. Yeah. Out of my company, we've put out Quavo and Lil Baby singles. We've put out Sway Lee. We've put out some great music. So we're moving, man. I'm really, really excited about what we're doing at A-Pop. And, you know, I'm always looking for new people to sign as well.
It's amazing to see when you actually, the vision is there and sort of the proof of concept is there.
Bro, the past 3 years, I would say, was like prepping for what's happening now. Now, like, full force, man. We got a lot of stuff in the pipeline, a lot of records being, you know, made, and relationships being made every day. And it's awesome, bro. It's really awesome.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it sounds really exciting, and it sounds like, you know, that's the sort of thing where you really create a culture. So what do you look for in an artist, especially if you're, you know, looking for All Pop International? Like, what are some of the things, you know, does it come from like the charisma of the person? Is it kind of an all encapsulating thing? Is it, you know, new and intriguing sounds? Is it just kind of a vibe that you generally get with them? You know, what are kind of the main things that you think of?
The first thing is the voice for me. It's the voice. It should be the most important thing. After that, it's how you carry yourself. A lot of people, there's a few artists that I can name recently that have had a lot of success without people knowing what they looked like before they actually saw them. Rod Wave is one of them. Weeknd is another one of them. There's a lot of examples of artists where you hear them first, but you don't see them. I was on SoundCloud 3 years ago. Scroll over, I stop, and I find this kid. I'm like, this sounds really good. And he looks really young, like 14. It ends up being the Kid Leroy, who I found. And at that moment, I knew that he was very, very special. He was 14 when I found him. You know, he's from Australia, so I didn't meet him. I just saw him. That's enough for me. After I spoke to him, he DM'd me back. Then we spoke. I was like, I love him. So for me, it was his voice. Then it was the look. Then it was his charisma, his personality.
Mm-hmm.
He carried himself, everything after that. Leroy is like the perfect example of what I look for. A Leroy case, like what I just told you, is exactly what I look for. I just want to be captivated first, and then we can get into all the other stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm. And do you think that that's sort of your kind of knack for getting, captivated by it, and just kind of your ability to hear the potential in someone's voice and that sort of thing? I know you were kind of there in the beginning for Travis Scott and Future, and you had a relationship with them while they were coming up. How has that helped you kind of further your career and further your skills and hone in those? And how has it been sort of watching the rise of those successful people?
Man, if it wasn't for Travis and Future, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. I wouldn't look for the things that I look for. I wouldn't understand music on a level that I understand it right now if it wasn't for the artists that I worked with, like Travis and Future. They helped me shape who I am as a creative as well as an A&R. They helped me with so much. And the amount of work that we put in and that I believed in with them, it worked. It worked. Everything worked. They're the biggest. Without those guys that I worked with, I would not. There's certain things that I would not look out for. Travis put me onto Young Lean. He put me on the Toro Imoy. He put me on James Blake. Like Travis is so out there, right? He gets it. Future understands this is gonna be hot. This ain't hot. From those, I was able to gauge exactly kind of how I wanted to maneuver moving forward. And I keep those things with me every single day, bro. In the beginning, I was like, I know it's gonna work. Like I so much that I'm willing to bet anything on this.
That confidence, is that just a mentality that you think anyone who's trying to get into this business needs to have? Definitely
confidence. You know how they say go with your gut? I feel like 50% of music is analytics. The other 50% is gut. So you are comparing what you feel against what you know, essentially.
Just do you kind of feel like you have sort of two sides of your brain when you're listening to something? Because I mean, unfortunately at the end of the day, sometimes music industry is a business, but maybe there's an artist that you listen to that you don't, it's not, the first person you'd co-sign, but someone else is saying, oh, this guy is going to make it big, or this girl is going to, be huge. Do you find it hard to do that?
I'm definitely able to recognize when I feel like something can be big, but it's not for me. That's the ability to be a great A&R and not let your creative ear or your opinion get in the way of what makes sense, right? I think now we have TikTok, we have so many other things that can make songs go crazy overnight that you really don't know. You really don't know. So you have to try things, but I think that you also have to not sell yourself short and be true and honest to yourself.
So I mean, I feel like a lot of what you're talking about is sort of authenticity, and the music industry especially is a place where people can sniff out if someone's just in it for a money grab, or if someone's not really got their heart and soul into it. Who?
Doja Cat. She makes great music and she has amazing visuals and she's weird and she's quirky and she has these ideas and she says things that you may not understand, but that's who she truly is. The great artists, the big ones, have a big identity. Drake, Nicki, Lil Baby, Cardi, Meg Thee Stallion, like they have an identity of their own and you know exactly what it is. Be you representing where you're from, or it could be the way you speak, or it could be the slang you use, like anything, the way you dress, like just being your true authentic self. Another person that I feel like is always their true authentic self, who I love and is one of my favorite artists in the world, is Billie Eilish. You know, I think that Billie is amazing. She is amazing. And I think that she's 24/7 herself, and she's never supposed to be anything but her. I try to let my A&R ear and my creative ear be two completely different things. And it's very hard, but you have to do it. You have to separate the two. You have to know whether this is novelty or whether this is going to be a #1 record that touches the world.
How do you foster that at All Pop International while still trying to, you know, have this cultural movement of, you know, a new sound that's kind of going to be the future, but, you know, make it known to artists that, you know, they should be authentic and themselves?
I don't ever want to change anyone. If they come special, I want to make them more special. But if I see a potential in something that you don't see, then I'm going to push you towards it to help you to find exactly what it is. But I'm a firm advocate of being your own, having your own sound. I think that when people are going left, you go right, and you make them go with you, as opposed to trying to go with them. Go against the grain, and you'll find the greatness there. And that's what I'm always about, the superstar. But there's only one superstar. I'm not into clones. I'm not into industry plans. I'm not into any of that. I'm into authentic artists. I'm into sound. I'm into real design.
And so I believe, if I understand correctly, you've worked with Timberland before, right?
Yeah, he's my mentor.
And so you know, you're talking about, you know, he's someone who is by no means a clone and has definitely created, you know, inspired so many people to wanna be just like him and sound just like him.
100%.
And I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about what it's like to work with him and such a legend like himself.
I've learned so much from him as a person, but I've learned even more from him just from listening to his music. You know, when you heard Timberland sound, when you heard Aaliyah, when you heard, you know, Justin Timberlake, when you heard Nelly Furtado, when you hear all these things, you're like, who makes this? Who's making this? To work with him was incredible because he looks at me as like the new him. He created based off of what he had. And he didn't have much at that time. So he was essentially just rubbing sticks together to make something, and it actually turned into his sound. You know, he's using human elements of music, which gives it like this warmth. It's just like a different feeling. And as a creative, he's unmatched. Now, what he's doing with Versus is arguably just as big, if not bigger than what he's already done. He's making you aware of songs that were created and artists that came out of this time and this time. And it's like, oh my God, it reminds you so much of like why we do what we do, why you love music. Him and Swiss are literally, they're pioneers. Like they're pioneers, man.
You know, what are some of the things that you're looking most forward to? Some projects that you might have coming up, or just what are you kind of most looking to get up to in these next couple months, years, kind of as things open back up?
Really excited to get outside and see people, you know, travel more as more work comes out and people see that my name is attached to it, they'll realize that I'm doing it for the music and not for anything else. I have like a bunch of like artists that I've been working with and just people. I'm just like really excited about my label Hitco right now and what we're doing.
How important it is for your artists / you and yourself to kind of develop their own style, and then kind of generally, you know, what impact fashion has on the music industry and vice versa. You know, how those two kind of live together.
Man, if I'm working with an artist and they don't have a style, I can help you, but it's probably not going to be my thing, because I like people that have their own thing. And I think that a lot of the times artists are always looking at other artists for inspiration, but they're not, but they're all drawing from the same place, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They're doing anything amazing.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing what's expected. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's extremely important for an artist to have a style outside of music. You know what I mean? They remember what you look like, what it felt like, what you smell like, what this was like. They remember. So
Mm-hmm.
those are very important. And I carry myself in that way every day. Like people are like, yo, Aaron, you smell amazing. Yo, like, what are you wearing? What's this? What's that? It's honestly, that's what I want people to say. That's what I want. That's how you know when you have your own thing. Every designer loves artists. Every artist loves clothes. I think that the collaboration between the artist and the designer is so important right now. And I'm trying to make more of those pairings, because I feel like the artist needs a creative director / designer that they can bounce music and fashion ideas off of. And the designer can bounce fashion ideas off and learn about the music to incorporate it into the clothing and into their process. Like, we can help each other. We're all creatives and we're artists in our own right, but one of us sings, the other one designs. And I feel like they go hand in hand. I think it's very important for artists to diversify.
It's really refreshing to see kind of the new people who are taking over the music industry really understand that it's not just, oh, you need to look like this and do this and make hip hop, or you need to, you know, fit into this other box that we've created. You know, people are themselves and kind of create their own styles, and it's important to sort of nurture and curate that.
Exactly, bro. Exactly. I just want to help enhance it. You know, and that's what I do with somebody like Travis or Future. I was able to take, you know, something that they have, or what they're doing or what they want to do, and I was able to help them refine it.
It's been an absolute pleasure to talk with you. And, you know, on behalf of everyone at Playdate, thank you so much.
Keep your ears to the streets, bro. Keep your eyes open. Keep your mind open. You know what I'm saying? And just have fun with this shit, bro. Honestly. And man, like, I want everybody to, you know, follow my label Hitco, follow me, follow all my artists, Ayana Lee, Ruby Rose, Dixie D'Amelio, St. John, Chelsea Collins, Biernick. We have so much great music coming, man. You know, A-Pop, you know, all my producers. Just be on the lookout, man. We got greatness coming on the way.
Definitely. We'll definitely be on the lookout, and we encourage everyone else to be on the lookout as well. Again, appreciate all that you've said and your time.
Absolutely.
You know, again, from everyone at Playdate, thank you so much.